Hello there! I would like to inform you that what you are about to listen to are the views and comments of the host and the guests only. They do not reflect the views of the community as a whole. Also, side effects of listening to this podcast might include headache, cardiac arrhythmia, nausea, an increase in blood pressure, temporary insanity, permanent insanity, involuntary cursing, shouting, hemorrhoids, spontaneous combustion, abdominal larvae, zombie reanimation, and a permanent loss of faith in mankind. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Eddie, do your banter section.
It means you have to listen to me.
I do listen. Look, of course I listen. I have to listen to you so that I can take all the bullshit things you talk about me and make me sound look good on the podcast and none of the bullshit you say that make me look like an idiot.
Look, if you don't want to look like an idiot, don't be an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hang on, let me jump out. Oh, hang on, not that. There we go. What was that? Yes.
You're just going to play that over every time I speak, aren't you?
Maybe. I mean, it can't be what. I mean, it could be this.
That's true.
No, but if we want some somber music. I don't actually have to stop. I keep giving the wrong thing. Hello everybody, this is the Talk About Podcast, a weekly podcast talking about cosplay, Comic-Con and everything else. I'm your host Eddie, and this week we are going to be talking about London MCM Comic-Con October 2023, the good, the bad and the ugly. Don't know why I went to like sports announcer mode, but that's what I went with. So what was that?
I laughed.
Did you? You laugh at me?
Yes, I'm that brave.
No, not brave as in you find me funny now.
I've always found you funny. Maybe from the funny farm, but from, funny.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, joining us on the podcast is Oscar Luna of Oscar Luna, that's it. Brain.
You sound so confused right
I
now.
know, because I usually do name and then handle rather than handle and then go, what was I doing? So it's Oscar from Oscar Luna, and I've got Doc from Tessakara Cosplay. Or Tessakara Cos. Yes. Woo!
Yep.
Yes, woo! Hang on. Let me do that properly. Hang on. Yeah, woo! Game time! Woo! Touchdown! Home run! That's it. I've got the right sport, right?
Yep.
Excellent! Yeah!
Sports ball.
Sports ball, try! Yes! Try! Go! I know my sports.
People are going to think they're on the wrong podcast.
They're not wrong. I'm missing sports. F1 is on downstairs, and I'm up here talking to you.
Do you know? You should tell them the F1 was yesterday, not today.
Yeah, I know. We recorded it.
Oh, right. All right. He won again. The bastard. Anyway, we're not a sports podcast. That's a different podcast. If you go to the Grand Prix podcast, my friend Andy, I think you met Andy. If not, anyway, he co-hosts a podcast about Formula One. So you should get your man to listen to that.
I should.
Partner. Yes,
I should organise him.
You should organise, definitely. Anyway, we're not talking about that. This is already sounding a bit chaotic, and we're not even got there yet. What was I going to say? So, what was I going to say? Oscar, how are you? How's the last 7 days for you?
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm just tired. It was a very long weekend at Comic-Con.
Were you at Comic-Con?
Where else would I be?
God. Do you know what? This would be really embarrassing if this was a podcast about the Comic-Con we've just all been to. Jesus Christ. Besides that, but life is treating you well. There's some private matters we'll leave to one side, but besides that, life treating you well?
Yeah, as well as it can be.
That's good. And when I mean by private matter, I don't want to worry people. That's why I'm going to say.
Private matters in the games industry is on fire. Let's leave it at that.
Talk about games. I will be within a minute. I might download. Actually, I might start purchasing it now. Spider-Man remastered for my Steam Deck. Might start actually buy that soon. So yes,
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, I love my Steam Deck. I was talking this to someone about it. I think if you want a console, I think for today's buck, I would get a Steam Deck rather than a PS5 or a Xbox Series. Not because the graphical power it's better than that. It's not. It's a PC. But for someone that could use it both as a handheld, plug it to a TV, and then convert it to a desktop computer in one machine, I love it. It suits my needs so much. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Doc, how are you? How's the last 7 days for you? Anyone else died in your immediate family you want to shock me with?
No, we've managed to keep everyone alive thus far.
That's good. Well, it's only been, last time we spoke, 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah, well, I've been to 3 funerals in the last 12 months, so I'm quite... I'm hoping that we don't have any more. I think we drew a wedding. I think it's wedding time.
Oh, that's good.
Like festive, Christmas wedding, that'd be cool. But yeah, no, my week's been fine.
I don't know if I would want to go to a Christmas wedding.
It's easy to remember the date.
Yeah, but you only get like one present.
I mean, weddings are always good because free food.
Yeah.
Oh, do I mention this? Fuck up, man.
It's called Food and Cosplay, so yeah.
Yeah. No, it's actually called the Ed Talks About podcast. No, because I've always said to myself, just because I fold the Food and Cosplay brand, at least I can carry on the podcasting on its own entity. But anyway.
Fair enough.
Yes. I went to a Chinese wedding. Actually, they did a Chinese and an English wedding over 2 days at the same weekend. Let's not go down that road. And I have never been to a more badly organized Chinese wedding, more specifically to the food. We were told that it was buffet. I have nothing against buffet food. I mean, that's kind of the modern thing nowadays for weddings. But the food that was on display was so poor. Like, we literally had a plate full of broccoli and tofu, which looked all right. And if you're sharing that between 2-3 people, you get a nice sizable portion. That plate served the 10 people around us. We all literally grabbed one broccoli and maybe one tofu.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Wow. So that was table service. When the buffet came out, oh my god, they literally, I think they said, would you like noodle or rice? And I said rice, because I don't like really chow mein. And when they got to the vegetable bit, they literally gave me one Roman lettuce leaf and put it onto my plate. And I said, oh, can I have some extra, please? And they grabbed me an extra leaf and put it onto my, but if that's the place, right, I'm not going to argue, I'm just going to walk away. Now, this would be really embarrassing if the whole venue was full of people who have previously worked in the takeaway Chinese business for multiple years, and obviously the Chinese community is so not judgmental. Oh no, wait! The whole venue was full of Chinese people who used to own a takeaway, and they fucking ripped it to pieces the whole event. Obviously, when the bride and groom came, said, "Oh, how was the food? How was everything?" "Oh, it was lovely. It was good. Oh yeah, mwah," things like that. Yeah. But honestly, by the time they're back, we were just going, "Fucking hell!" It was a shambles. Fucking shambles.
Those are the weddings you remember, though.
Yeah.
No. If I ever... Right, first of all, no, hang on. I've got to be nice to myself. If I ever get married, I would want to not to be remembered for all the bad things. I want it to be remembered for at least some good. Like, if it was boring with one good thing, that's all I want it to happen. I don't want to be boring and then one bad thing, or a succession of bad things. But anyway, we're not going there. Doc, how are you? How's the last 7 days for you?
It's been good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
talked about family and funerals and all that. Yeah.
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 It's my favourite topic, dead people.
Well, you were covered in blood this weekend.
I was. There is that. It has all washed out, I'd just like to say.
The blood?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how many did you kill?
Moving on.
Just to confirm, there was no murder in sight or any slashing. But do you want to explain your cosplay, Doc?
Yeah, so on Friday, my friend and I cosplayed Adam and Lawrence from Saw. And I got to be the guy who was left behind in the basement, in the crackhead bathroom.
That's amazing.
It was so much fun. I did stain my hands, but that's fine. It's like a, small price to pay for screen accuracy.
Yes, but there was an incident before the event, wasn't there, with your arm?
Oh yeah, that was fun. I dislocated my elbow.
I mean, by doing something really, like energetic, sports-like event, or you're like bashing someone out of the way, defending yourself, right? Like that, right?
No, I was flicking out a dust sheet.
Boys and girls, non-binary and everyone inclusive. Can we just hear that again? How'd you do that?
Flicking out a dust sheet. In my defense, I do have an excuse. I have EDS, so I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So, like, I am disabled and my joints do dislocate, but they don't normally actually fully dislocate. They normally just go woo and then go back in. So,
Fair enough. Oh,
even my parents judged me. They were just both like, "Why? How have you done this?" And I was like, "I've got nothing." But on the positive side, it means I didn't have to carry anything really, really heavy for the entire week while we were clearing my dad's garage. So there isn't a downside.
Oh yeah, positive things. Yeah. Jeez. Luna, what about yourself? What did you wear over the weekend?
I did Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service on Friday and Saturday. Lovely and comfortable for a change. And then I was Rani from Elden Ring on the Sunday.
So you were really comfortable for like the first 2 days, and then you were like, sod it on the last one, and we're like, I'm gonna suffer.
Yeah, I was travelling back in the evening as well, so I had to rush back to the hotel afterwards and wash all the blue face paint off. And it turns out that the wig has not reacted so well to my skin, so I currently have a very horrible red halo all across my forehead. I've been wearing a beanie at work all day to try and hide it.
I shouldn't laugh, but yes.
We suffer for our art form. That's why I keep
do.
telling Cal, I'm like, we suffer for our art form.
Yes. Luna, can we discuss about an unfortunate appendage you were holding, which looked very dodgy on the photo? Or should we just leave
my
that?
Broomstick.
Yes. Shall we talk about that? Very briefly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, go for it. I just want to bring one very quick funny story. So we're doing. So obviously Kiki Luna was cosplay, and I thought, let's do one where you're pretending flying in the sky. Put the broomstick between your legs, ride it, and I'll take it from a low, high angle. So you've got a lot of sky. You don't see the ground, so therefore it looks like you're flying. So yeah, that's fine. I've done it before, and it looks all right. When we came to previewing the photos, because of how short your broomstick was, and you rode it like if you were riding it, do you want to describe what it looked like, Luna?
I think you described it as a woody, which was even funnier because it was a wooden broomstick. For reference, my version of Kiki is like vintage pinup, so there is dozens of petticoats underneath the dress, so it just took up the whole of the broomstick.
But because the broomstick was quite short, because you rode it as you would, there wasn't much length to it, so it did look like you just was grasping a woody. And I just went, let's do that again and make sure we do it better. I couldn't stop laughing.
Glad we got a redo.
Oh, definitely. You know me, I would make sure you look good once the photo goes. That photo will never see the light of day, don't you worry, okay? Maybe for my own personal amusement, but... Yeah.
Well, that sounds dodgy. Don't do that.
Well, anti-dodgy guy. I mean,
Freedom cosplay and OnlyFans.
Yeah. Well, I am a white cis male photographer, so
yeah.
That. Oh no, do I say this word out loud? I have added extra appendages to that, but I'm worried that people believe it. So no, I'm going to leave it out. Now that I've fully embarrassed Luna and whatnot, we will talk about actually the event. So I'm trying this new style out, this new format. It's called the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So basically, I was getting a little tired of just doing the same formatted, talk about the ticketing, the queuing, the stalls and things like that. And instead, we're just going to go straight into, what's it called? Straight into just talking about the good things that happen at the event, the bad, and then the ugly. And when I see like comparison between the bad and the bad is like minor stuff. Like, I don't know. I couldn't get through this door, but I didn't realize it was locked. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. And bad is like, my cosplay caught on fire. I don't know.
I was set on fire by security.
Yeah, something like that. He purposely went and found me and then lit me on fire. That's what happened.
Singled me out.
Singled you out. I've just realised something. I did some notes for myself, which is on a certain particular phone. That phone has run out of battery.
Oops.
I think I can remember some of it, but I have to find a way to power up a little bit. So, I will let. All right. So the good, we'll break it down. There may not be any uglies. There may just be bads and good stuff of the event. And I did actually last night before I got inebriated with alcohol. Did a shut up. I am not that bad when it comes to alcohol. Why does
You are.
everyone shut? Why does everyone question me about this? We'll talk about. I'll pick up some posts from other people and see what they say about it. But I'll go alphabetically. Oscar, what was at least one good thing or multiple good things that you experienced at MCM London October edition? No pressure.
I honestly found the accessibility and the industry stuff very easy to get to, and then didn't have any issues getting through every day. It was lovely, just a very quick walk through the front entrance, and all the like different stands for gaming and the demo booth for Disney Lorcana, they moved pretty quick. The staff seemed pretty on it, so those were really cool. Otherwise, it was just a really nice weekend. The Saturday wasn't so swamped. You couldn't move. I could actually look at the stands. Unless you went near the Crit Roll signing area, in which then gridlock, but that made sense. But yeah, I thought overall it was a pretty smooth weekend.
Yeah, I want to pick up on the at least the whole layout and specifically the width of the aisles. Really, a lot of people I spoke to said, oh my goodness, it's so nice that I think there's one factor, they actually took up more halls so they could spread out a little bit more, and because they could spread out a lot more, the in between the aisles, in between the stalls, there was enough of a gap for people to go, hey, I can walk through, I don't feel crushed here, I'm not like butting heads with someone, ear to ear and things like that. It's like, it was really good to hear that. Now, I don't know if that was like that throughout the whole weekend. I can't say anything about the Saturday.
Saturday it was 100%. You could move through the hall nice and easy, no problem. Sunday, it was like a ghost town until the Crit Roll panel ended, in which then you couldn't walk through the aisles. Realistically, there is no amount of space that they could give between tables that wouldn't get clusterfucked because of the amount of people coming out of the panel and then browsing. So Sunday being sold out as it was kind of to be expected that it would get very busy. I mean, I was walking through the hall with a 4-foot wide hat, and I managed to make it through, but there were some times where I'd get stuck because people would stop in the middle of the aisles, etc. But
yes,
overall, the extra space definitely felt nicer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What else did you say? There's something else you picked up and I've totally forgotten now. I was talking to vendors about the space. Let me just continue about this anyway. I talked to some of the vendors about it. They really felt the benefit of not being so cramped, and that people could move like down the middle of the aisles. That it allowed people who want to stand at the actual the actual stalls. They could actually stand without being crushed, pushed over, anything like that. Like you said, with your like 10-foot hat wide, you could walk, I'm assuming, fairly freely for that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Doc, is that a similar experience that you experienced? I know you didn't go on Saturday, you went Friday and Sunday, and we will talk about that later, but do you share that same experience?
Yeah, definitely did. It was so much easier to just get around, and even like the main concourse where Costa and everything although it was still busy, like on Sunday particularly, it wasn't like you were standing in just a cube of people. It did feel like there was some form of movement all the time, which was quite reassuring. Which was, it made a big difference. And there was, in S halls, there was a load of seating that wasn't attached to like a restaurant or anything as well, which I thought was really good.
Benches was super impressive.
Yeah. I was like, finally, they've listened to us.
That does remind me, I'm now convinced Repop are listening to me, so I just want to take this opportunity now to say, hi Repop, thank you very much for participating in this podcast. Thank you for listening. I mean, if you want to give me a more prominent stage on in your programming at Comic-Con, I'm more than happy to do that. Just, get my people talk to your people. No, get your people talk to my people. More than happy to arrange something like that. like I ever believe that Repop are really listening to me. I mean, if they generally are, I honestly welcome it. But it's a lot. All right, I do believe obviously they hold their own Q&A session, and obviously they talk to other people and just see how they enjoyed it. From what I understand, yeah, I think from my point of view, there has been a lot of improvements, but we will talk about other things as well. Lou, is there anything else you want to mention on the good, or just remind me what you said?
I mentioned the industry and the accessibility stuff.
Accessibility. Now I'm gonna move. I will talk about that in the bad. But yeah, anything else?
No, I can't think of anything
No,
else.
that's fine.
My brain's gone blank.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Doc, what about yourself? Is there anything you want to kick off with the good?
The fact that they listened to feedback about like hidden disabilities and stuff like that. I feel it was really good. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that they did listen. But it went to kind of the other extreme because in May, my disability wasn't invisible in May. I had bursitis in my hip, so I was using a cane. And so I didn't take my sunflower lanyard because it's not an invisible disability if you're standing there with a fucking cane. However, my cane was tagged as a prop, which meant that...
I mean, I can understand it, but also, no, what?
Yeah. And so it meant... So on the Saturday, it wasn't too bad because I managed to actually communicate with somebody on an adult level on security who let us in at the far end of the con hall.
Is this
where our hotel was
this time round or in October? Sorry, in May. Yeah.
And then on the Sunday, when I had my suitcase and I still had my cane, I was refused entry and intimidated by one of the security guards, which was delightful. So this time I was like, right, I'm taking, even if I have to use my cane, I am taking my sunflower lanyard. And it kind of like unlocked their inner, but they were suddenly unable to stop me from doing anything. So like on the Friday morning, my friend and I walked into the what I call the pyramid end, where all the glass is.
Yeah, the west entrance, yes.
Yeah, we walked in. They looked at our bags. I had my lanyard with my tickets hanging off it, and they hadn't picked their tickets up yet, my friend. They were allowed to walk the entire length of the con without... Nobody checked to see if they had tickets, or if they even had a lanyard, or if they had anything. They didn't even check. They didn't even ask. So I think we've gone to the other extreme with MCM now, where they're just like, we're too terrified, and everyone with a sunflower lanyard can do whatever they like. So we need to find like a happy medium.
No, absolutely.
But it was good that I didn't feel like I had to continually argue the toss on things because they were actually much better with it.
No, I totally understand that. I totally get that. I was going to bring this in the bad, but I'll bring it up now. Like last edition in May, I had no issue with security getting in and things like that. Okay, obviously I know I get a press pass, so I go through a different... I say different... Oh no, I do go for a different route in and out. But I think I've heard a lot of people saying the queuing wasn't... Actually, oh no. Have I heard? How was the queuing for you two to get into the venue? Oh no, you just said it. Sorry, Doc. You just said...
Yeah, I didn't queue.
Ask what about yourself. Did you go down that side and in?
No, because I had an industry pass, and then I needed to get my accessibility sticker from the front due to fibro. So it was just like I asked for a sticker, no questions asked, and could just go through the front. And to be honest, most of the weekend it looked like they weren't stopping anybody with a weekend pass going through the pyramid entrance either.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's cool.
I think they got that. They had that feedback quite extensively last time because there was no rhyme or reason to the way they had the entrances and exits laid out last time in May. So I think they took that quite firmly on board and they kept it consistent.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how much it's seen that Repop has actually listened to people's feedback to it. Like as I joked that they are listening to my podcast and things like that, because we mentioned about this in the May edition of the Good and Bad and the Ugly of the podcast. As I said, in May, I had no issues with security and all that. I see security as they're there for a reason, and they're not trying to. Well, in my opinion, not there to upset people willingly. Yes, you're going to have some people who's going to find it frustrating to have security there, but overall, they're there for our safety, and they've got to do their job as much as they can't always be friendly. But I've heard a lot of people this time around said, "Oh my god, the security have upped their game by being so pleasant, so kind. They were." Helping people, then grabbing people, throwing people about. Not. I don't think they were throwing people, but that type of attitude and things like that. It seems like I think someone might have said to me again, unsubstantiated claim, but they said, "Oh, they might have gone through extra training. There's a different security firm in place, so they've been told not to be so aggressive towards cosplayers, Comic-Con people and things like that." Quite interesting looking at my post that I've posted across social media. There have been one or two people who have seemed to still have that experience. They didn't quite go into much details, but look, if you want to share your feedback, of your weekend, feel free to find my social media. I'll try to link it in the podcast description that you can go into maybe Facebook or Twitter threads to share your experience of it, because I'm sure other people would love to know and see how other people's weekend was, because as much as we do these podcasts, this is a gateway for people who either have been or want to go, and hopefully this podcast will give them an idea, a flavor. No Comic-Con is ever perfect, but it's an event in itself that you can't really ignore per se.
I also think that there's like a difference between sort of a boycott and feedback. If you boycott something if you have a bad experience somewhere and you give feedback and they listen to the feedback and you go back and you have a better experience, that is a worthwhile thing. There was a lot of kind of, oh, you should boycott MCM. And I'm like, well, no, I had a bad experience. I've given them my feedback. They get another chance. That's how life works. If somebody makes a mistake, if they show that they're learning from it, you continue to interact with that person and in that way. Same as like when you're teaching somebody something. So it was very rewarding for me to have made quite a vociferous complaint to MCM and to the XL and see them actually listening to it. But there's a lot of people I know that said, okay, I'm not going to go to October because of all the issues. Can people tell me what it was like? Which I totally get. But the whole boycott MCM, it's not going to work because too many people want to go. But they are actually paying attention, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
No, absolutely. Just to add, just now I've got my other phone working now, and there's something that I saw, which wasn't on every panel, but I saw it written there, and I thought, this is a really nice touch. Some of them wrote on it, this panel is BSL interpreted, and I'm assuming that means British Sign Language.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's great. What a great inclusivity to have for those who turn up,
Yeah, and it's not, getting good BSL interpreters is not a cheap experience. It's not something you can just, pay them sort of 50 quid a day and that's it. It's an expensive thing to do. So it is nice to see them thinking about people and thinking, okay, it's going to cost money, but that's okay because we want people to be able to come and enjoy and take part.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All right, I'm just going to quickly go through my notes, and I think that one of the good things I saw, although I didn't notice it when I was on the north side of the building. It's only when I went to the south side. I've always complained. I think there's not much to do, see, and interact with at these events. Like I moaned about EGX. I didn't do a proper EGX podcast, but I just mentioned it in passing. And my main issue is that there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do or see. If you didn't want to if you didn't want to queue, I know it's a gaming event, but if you didn't want to game all day, what was there else to do?
I mean, that is kind of the point of EGX.
I know.
It is a show for demoing games.
But sometimes, like, you could just be game. Like, you want to give your eyes a rest. You want to do something else, maybe, or you just want to talk to a human being, maybe.
Ugh.
I know, right? So sorry. But I saw lots of vendors that were showing off statues. And I don't ever think I've ever seen that in previous versions of MCM, especially since Repop has taken over. And it's really nice to have some showcase stalls like that, just so that it gives us nerds to go, ooh, I don't have £600, but I want to buy that. You know,
They've definitely been there.
Yeah,
The last 4 MCMs, I think. So we've had Figurama, Prime One, a couple of the big display companies, and normally they're hidden like under the name brand and no one recognizes it. But they have been there. I just think they had a better location this time around.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah.
And did you see the dinosaur?
Oh god, yes.
It's so good.
Was the dinosaur there because they wanted to show it off, or was it left over from the Jurassic exhibit that could no longer be in the hall?
Oh,
either way, there was a cool dinosaur.
There was a dinosaur there. Yes, it did say Jurassic 30 years, so I wouldn't be surprised by that. Oh, the one thing I want to mention, actually, another thing. I'm still on the thing. It's when I did my Instagram lives, I said, "Oh, this reminds me of New York Comic Con," and I know people are probably fed up of hearing, "Oh, by the way, did you go to a New York Comic Con and buy any Jones?" It's like, yes, I have been. Yes, I've been. But things like that about Comic Con, it's like, I can't. Yeah, I may not be able to afford it, but yes, I could. It's good to see these things on display. I got, I've always said, what does my money get me? I may not be able to, yes, spending X amount of money to get me through the door to then spend more money is kind of counterintuitive. But at least give me something to see. If I can't at least pick up enough freebies, what can I at least see to go, ooh, that was an experience to have a look at? And to see these expensive figurines on display or future purchases. Like there was a Bandai stand that had things like Evangelion, Tamagotchi, what's the other one called? Digimon, things like that on display. I thought, oh, that's quite cool. Things like that. There was a Tekken 8 stand that was seemed to be a competition there. So it just seemed to be a bit more interactive than I remember from last time round.
Yeah, and Square Enix had some demos and stuff as well, which I didn't partake in, but I've seen a few people post about them and say that they were really nice as well, and it was quite well organised. So you got plenty of time to sort of try out the games, but without making other people queue for ages and ages and ages while you were having fun. So that sounds like it was quite good as well.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's what you get, what bang for your buck for you. You may still argue yourself, oh, I'm not going to spend £100 just to look at figurine. That's fine. That's your prerogative, and I'm not saying that's wrong. But I'm just saying, at least there's more things to see and do. Obviously, for £100, I would like to see more things be made available. That'd be really, be more, more value for money. But I'm starting to see that the scale's tipping towards, oh, actually, yes, I'm spending a lot of money for this event, but I'm feeling to get more out of it, if that makes sense. I was told the other thing I just saw on my phone that I was taking notes about that I want to bring up, it's a small little thing, but the re-entry, it's quite interesting. They got a different type of scanner. I don't know if anyone saw the scanner with.
I love the new scanners.
Pardon?
I love them.
Oh, good.
They can stay.
Since you're excited about it, Luna, you describe it.
It literally does a complete. So you walk through and it does a complete body scan. It's like the ones that you get at the airport. And I even walked around the back and it had flagged my. I had Gigi from Kiki Delivery Service in a metal bird cage, and it flags it. And then they'll ask you if they need to check your bags or etc. But it's just such a quick process, and most people just get a solid right. Okay, you don't need to even get your bag searched. Go on.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're great.
Yeah, I think that's such a quick part. I don't think it's on both ends. I think the
other end is technically closed at the moment. You're not meant to use it.
Oh, right. So you have to go around. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. I did see a lot of people walk around and things like that. So yeah, that's quite cool. But yeah, I just want to bring that up because it did feel like it was a quick process. It wasn't like everyone they saw a bag go that way. Every time I just opened my bag up, and as soon as they saw me open my bag up, they tell me, "Yeah, off you go." Because I don't want to argue with security. They're there for a job. They're doing a job. Why should I fight them? I understand that. Go, oh, you're slowing me down, and we get into the hall. It's like, I get that, but security are doing a job as well. They're not purposely just picking on you to go, we're trying to slow you down or trying to piss you off. They're there to do a job. If they found out that someone did bring in an illicit item, I won't go what type of illicit item, but you can probably guess. Wouldn't you feel safer if they did check? But anyway, things like that.
Well, I did have a very funny interaction on Sunday because I had a bright pink gun, which fires like they're hard plastic, but they're not. So the casing is hard plastic, but the projectile is a tiny little foam like dart. You could probably point blank shoot someone in the face and they wouldn't even notice that you'd done it. It's nothing. The security guy took it off me, emptied the clip. He said, "I'm really sorry, but is it loaded?" I was like, "For goodness sake!" I was like, "No." Well, it's got foam bullets in it, and he was like, "Okay." Then he told me he had done 6 years of firearms training, which I thought was really funny because the way he handled the gun, my grandmother could have done better. I was like, "Mate, you'd have been shot twice if that was loaded and it was a real gun. You wouldn't have a hand left." But anyway, and then he took them all off me and was like, "I'm gonna have to throw them in the bin." So yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay, I don't care."
I do have to say, they probably weren't the best. So I forgot I had a pair of very sharp scissors on the Friday, and somehow I still made it in.
Yeah, it made me laugh the way he was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry," as far as projectiles. I was like, "Oh, for goodness, it's foam."
But like, I saw someone on the Sunday walking around with a prop gun, but it didn't have the orange tips on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they were in the confine, and I'm like, okay, so we've probably gone a little bit too lax for security on that
Back
front.
to the middle ground.
Because I'm well aware of someone else that had a knife blade in their wallet and they got in. And I'm just like, okay, so there's a middle ground that we need to reach, and we're not quite there yet, but it's definitely a much more approachable version of security than the previous iterations of it.
Totally agree. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's good. I'm just going to bring up the Facebook stuff, see if there's anyone written anything there. It certainly helped things where you're getting reintroduced into the venue. Yeah, I totally agree. It just made getting back into the venue, especially with the whole weekend being raining on and off. It just helped, I think, getting people back into the building. And again, it's something that small little touches like that really help. So, was there any other good things you want to mention that we haven't? That's worth mentioning on this podcast?
I would say that the notifications that they sent through on the app were really useful if you were interested in the panels.
Yeah.
So I kept getting alerts like, oh, main stage is now full. Please go to the live stage for the broadcasted version. And then they'd update when that was also full. So you'd know if it was worth even trying to attend something. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was very well organised, that was. Totally agree. And it also meant that if you weren't interested in it, so like with the Critical Role panel, my friend and I timed going to a couple of stalls on the Sunday for when that was busy, because it meant that we could get there really easy and we got our lunch then. So
yeah, the
it
one
worked
and
for
only
both
time
ways.
I think we could get food without queuing.
Yeah, and that's why, it worked both ways for us, because we weren't going to the panel. It meant that we could go get our lunch and all that kind of stuff. But the people who wanted to go to the panel were there. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Losing my brain here.
No, that's fine. I don't understand. I don't want to keep going back to the. Oh yeah, I was at New York Comic Con. The New York Comic Con app has been doing this for years. They just send you notifications saying, "Oh, this panel's open. Come to this hall or go to that hall." And things like that. So again, I didn't realize there was an MCM app for it. They didn't seem to be publicizing that a lot. So it's quite interesting. You downloaded the app.
I downloaded it and used it because my friend has terrible signal in the XL, and it was just really helpful. And I don't think it required a live internet. I think it was all like pre-programmed notifications. So if you didn't have any signal, you still got the
at least
update.
like a basic. This panel's about to start.
Yeah.
That's quite cool. It's again really interesting to hear that and things like that. Any other goods you want to bring up?
I can think the only other one that I thought of was the organisation between the DLR and the Elizabeth line. Was they kind of divided up. So if you were queuing for DLR, you went left. If you were queuing for the Elizabeth line, you went right. Which sounds really, really simple, but it was just an absolute bum fight in May. It was. I'm surprised there wasn't an actual fisticuffs fight.
Oh, really?
in May because people were getting so frustrated with people walking along one side and then darting across in front of them and all that kind of stuff. So it was really good to see that kind of organised as well, and organised in an efficient way that made sense for once.
For once.
Well,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. No, that's cool to hear. The other thing I want to bring up very quickly, similar to the app notification thing. Again, I don't know if this was ever a thing either before Repop took over or it was there before. There were actual MCM magazines that told you what was the weekend like. So if you didn't have a signal of the event, at least you could have a program. That's it, a program. That's the word. Program of the weekend, the things to do. Didn't really look inside of it, but I kind of guessed what it was based on New York Comic Con. And I'm trying not to say it too often. All right. But yeah, I just thought that was like a nice little touch for that. So yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice to see the little show guide back because they had stopped printing it for quite a few years. So you could have a physical map, and you could also look at like the upcoming like anime stuff,
Yeah.
and things worth mentioning. It was just really nice to see that as a good little souvenir for some people that go.
A lot of people say stuff like that is like it's old fashioned. I'm like, yeah, but it lasted 100 years because it works. It's simple and it works, and it's a nice souvenir, and you don't have to pay for it, and yeah, it just makes sense.
Let's put it this way: if you're going to see, let's say, the cast of Ghost, and you need something to sign, and you don't want to buy a print, you could at least get this program, get them to sign that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's things, small little things like that. Cool. Let's talk about the bad. And I'll start with I'll go again with Luna. Is there anything you want to mention about the bad?
So I'm not sure if anybody else in this chat is going to out themselves as much of a nerd as me. I am currently collecting and playing Disney Lorcana. It was near impossible to get a hold of any throughout the entire event. Most stands sold out in like 15 minutes. Saturday was one hell of an experience. We got there early so we could queue to go get some. But what actually happened was there was a group of 15 to 20 teenage to mid 20-year-olds, all in a big group, clearly scalpers, who were buying up literally every single packet, box, or card they could get their hands on. And I mean, one of the vendors upped their price to £900 for 4 boxes, and the guy just dropped £900 there and then. And I just feel like those kind of people should be kicked out. Like, or refuse service. I understand for a vendor, money is money, but they would have sold those booster boxes to people who were legitimately after them quite easily throughout the rest of the day, rather than selling outright at the start of every single day. And I'm quite aware from talking to traders that there was a serious issue with the whatnot goodie bags or bag being used for stealing from a lot of stands. People are going to steal either way, but I do feel like sometimes the tote bags that are given away en masse are not helping the situation. I think the scalpers were the main thing that kind of annoyed the shit out of me on the Saturday and the Sunday. They were there on the Sunday too. I think my only other bad thing is that for the cost of a weekend ticket, and I mean explicitly the weekend ticket, a day ticket's not so bad. It is basically a very large shopping experience. There isn't enough to do other than the handful of game demos. And if you're into like cosplay panels, fantastic. But if you're not, you're basically there to browse and buy. And it's the same for New York Comic Con. I think my comparison would be Japan Expo, because that has like a massive area for board games, a massive area for shopping, and all of the stands are like an experience. Like Crunchyroll had a little village, like an actual village at Japan Expo that you could go into, different places to take photos. They had a shop at the end, full little village. It was incredible. And then they had a Japanese culture section that had like a miniature observatory and traditional music being played live, and it was just such a different experience that I'm just like, for the cost of what MCM is, that felt like more of an experience and less shopping. and where we're at.
Yeah, obviously this probably tells on with the things about I said about looking at the figurines. As much as I said that's good to see that there or it come back, you're right. There's still not enough things to do if you're not there solely for shopping, or you have a limited budget to go. Well, I spent a lot of money getting here, getting through the front door. What can I do? There's still not enough. Like there was 1 year. Because I never saw this, so I swear this. I had a fever dream. There was a fun fair 1 year, wasn't there?
There was a fun fair 1 year. I think that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I swear I somehow missed this, but I swear it's a fever dream because I don't believe that actually existed until I see it.
It wasn't attached to MCM that year. That was something else going on in the Excel that you could just go into.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense now. It sounded like it was all, when I got told, it was all encompassing. So yeah. There was something about let's talk about the vendors. I want to just attach onto your one about the vendors. I have spoken to a few vendors about this, and we were just talking about a mutual person that we follow called Giles Bones. And again, when I did this podcast in May, I used his videos to like, oh no, we were doing this for the why was everyone angry about MCM Repop? And his take on it was very, I think, very balanced and things. And again, I think I was watching his videos this morning. His videos were very balanced about how, from his point of view, the taking was down from the last time, or I don't know if it was last time in May or this time last year, which is interesting to hear. I had friends who had stalls, and they seem to have had a really good business this weekend. So I'm not putting under bad, but I'm not really putting under good either. It depends on who you talk to. But I think a lot of people did say it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. So
yeah, I think for the vendors it's particularly tough at the moment. Cost of living crisis being what it is, and people having to pay for the hotels, etc. It's really tough for some vendors to be getting by. I saw one of my favorite stalls that does some absolutely amazing clothes, and I cannot remember the name of them. They put out a call to arms Sunday morning because they've been put in a bad location and they weren't getting the football. Yeah, Damnation Pie, thank you. And I just felt, bless them, because their stall looked fantastic, but their location was less than ideal. And then I know of another vendor who had all their stuff slashed and broken into on the night before. So they must have had hopefully a nice weekend in the end, but a really bad start to it.
Yeah, that was at the Critical Role live show on the Wednesday night.
Ugh.
Just awful. Why would you do that to somebody?
Yeah, shockingly. I felt so bad for them. So I really hope that they had a good business weekend. But I think what Giles was saying in his videos is October is meant to be, it's the pre-Christmas show, right? It's like the last show of the year, the biggest show of the year. Christmas money is kind of meant to be coming in. But a lot of people aren't dropping that big money right now. And I think that's just a wider statement on the economy rather than the convention itself.
Yeah, I was going to bring up about the whole Damnation Party thing, and there was a lot, because they took away, MCM have almost kind of, we're going to give you something that you've asked for, but we're also going to take something away. So they're like, we're going to give you more seating, but we're taking away 100 stalls. And I'm like, it's carrot stick kind of economics for me.
Well, sorry to butt in, but I felt like the hall was longer. They took up more hall space. I don't know. Some people did say, "Oh, they got more hall space." I just took it as granted that was true fact. I actually don't know. I don't know if there was, like you said, less vendors, more hall space, or the hall space got longer, therefore they spread out easier.
I'm not sure. But there was 100 less tables available at October compared to May.
We really need to start tracking this. So I know it was from S1 down to 8 or 9 is where the close-off point was at the other end. I don't recall Comic-Con ever being past that point before, but I also don't remember it being too much smaller. So it might be a case of better utilizing the space, but 100 less tables is a significant amount of tables.
Yeah, because I'm quite good friends with somebody who was going to come and trade, and she couldn't get a table. she couldn't even get a trader's table, let alone an artist alley table. Which to me is just crazy because the traders tables are like 3 times the cost as well, and they're no bigger than the artist alleys ones, and it just seems crazy to me to have taken all of that away. I don't know. It's a balancing act. This is why I don't plan events.
Yeah. No one, like I said, no one gets these events perfect.
No.
And that's why it's worth just talking about it and saying, like you said, damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you don't create more space, people can complain about being crushed. But if you create more space and lose vendor space, then it's a trade-off of that. I was going to have such. I think I had a similar conversation about someone who wanted to trade at MCM but couldn't because it was such. I wouldn't say lottery, but it's a hard lottery to get into in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. If MCM is listening, dear God, please have less pop vendors.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. No more pop vendors and no more mystery box vendors. Right?
That's
they're
right.
Still everywhere.
Right, okay. This is going to be my bad. This was, one of my bads, okay? Fucking hell. They need to stop. At least, if you're going to have mystery bags, vet them. Vet what's inside it. Because there's no way, when you say it's worth 20 quid, it's not going to be worth 20 quid. I mean, recommend retail price, yes. But we know that's none of that.
It's like, hey, here's a mystery bag. It's 20 quid. It's full of knockoff shit from AliExpress.
Yeah.
We literally walked past one stand that had a massive stand, and he had a sign saying Loungefly-esque bags. And they were carbon copies of the Funko Pucka Pucka Halloween bag that hasn't been out very long. But they were allowed to sell that.
Yeah.
And that could have gone to a legitimate vendor rather than scum. And I'm going to call them that because fake shit is scummy at a convention.
Yeah.
Yep.
And trading stands should be going around just checking that anyway. But I don't know if they were there this weekend or if they did.
They were. They stopped by my favorite hot sauce company that does MCM.
Okay.
They were there making sure they put up a sign about allergies. So trading signs were there, but I don't think they check fake merchandise quite as well as they do certain other things.
I don't know. They seemed. I can remember one year there was someone who's trying to sell Disney Against Humanities, like Cards Against Humanities, a Disney version of that. But it was a clear knockoff. That store disappeared the next day because I'm assuming they got told you're breaking trading standards or copyrights infringement. You can't sell this type of thing. So, yeah, that's quite an interesting point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about those mystery boxes. I kept seeing so many of those and I just thought they can't be good. They just cannot be good, and it seems to be springing up more and more now. Now, if there are vendors out there who do mystery boxes and they're legit, they get from proper resources, like things that are now no longer in circulation, but there was a surplus of it, like maybe old film premieres and things like that. Fair enough. I'm not targeting, but it'd be nice to have maybe those vendors say, here's a selection of things you could get in these bags on display, so it gives an idea of what they're getting.
Yeah.
Possibly. Anyway. All right. Before we run out of time, because I didn't realize how much we've been rabbiting on. Doc, is there anything bad about the event that you saw from your point of view?
I think we've pretty much covered it all. Yeah. Overall, I thought it was really great. It was a vast improvement on May as an experience. I've been going to cons for donkey's years, and yeah, it was a huge improvement.
Yeah.
It was really rewarding to see them listening.
No, absolutely, really good. Okay, is that the case then? Let me just wrap it on with at least 2 points I want to do about the bad. One of them is, which I think it's still the rule in place, but I don't know why it's not being enforced. So I've mentioned in past podcasts that there's a rule that says you can't have any standing lights at the convention, right? But someone that corrected me said, "Oh no, that you can't have that inside the hall. Outside is fine." So okay, that's fine. I will back down from this. When it rained and I walked inside, I saw, although legitimately outside of like people walking, but it was inside the hall still, a fucking bank of photographers against the wall with their freestanding lights. They're taking photos. I'm not having to go at the photographers who have lights. I'm having to go as, if you have a rule that says we are not having freestanding lights, fucking enforce it. That's all I'm saying.
If you're going to set a rule, follow the rule.
Fucking follow the rules, because you're saying that's there for a reason, for maybe health and safety reasons. People don't want to be tripping up or anything. Totally understand that. Enforce it. It seemed like this rule has been forgotten about.
Yeah.
By the organisers, by security. And again, it may be something because they didn't think about it, because at that time, a lot of people were hearing by it. And I understand it was raining. I totally understand that. They need some, if you've got lights, you need to have it. But not being funny, if you're treating Comic-Con like a studio, you're going to have variable conditions anyway. I don't know how... And I know different photographers have different ways of shooting their photos, and I'm not trying to dictate the way I shoot photos is the only way. If you use flash photography, perfectly fine by me. I'm just saying there's a rule about it. Fucking follow, obey it. Don't just think you're above the law and the rules, okay, and the guidelines. If you're in the car park, I don't understand that. Again, there's nothing about the car park, I think, having lights. But again, if you're driving around in the car park and you see this flash in the background, I know that's going to distract you from parking. Although you shouldn't be driving like 30 miles per hour, you're driving at 5 miles per hour trying to look for a parking space, so you shouldn't have an accident. But it's just I saw that and I will admit I got a little angry by it for no reason. If I'm honest, there's no reason for me to be angry. But I did think, fucking hell, I'm here following the rules. I'm showing my badge. I'm showing my bag every so often, so that I'm not trying to hold up people behind me. I'm not trying to fight with security. I'm trying to ask every cosplayer if I can take their photo. I'm not sniping people, things like that. And yet this rule here, which in my eyes, if it's still there written in black and white, is a flagrant breach of the terms. But yeah, I don't know if you guys think I'm overreacting.
No.
No, it definitely should be. It's not, a rule that should be forgotten. If they want it to be in place, either get rid of it or keep it. And it also shouldn't be one rule for one person and another for another. It should be consistent.
Yeah. And like I said, I know it was raining. They had to come. They had to they don't want to get their equipment get wet. But not being funny, it's October. The weather could change. You can also look at your weather app on your phone and say, "Oh, it looks like it's going to rain. Maybe I shouldn't bring my light equipment." Rather than going, "Oh well, I'll just take it inside and just block maybe the concourse."
It's a risk they're willing to take, and that means that we get to laugh at them when it goes wrong.
No comment. Yeah. So yeah, no, that was the thing I wanted to complain about. The other thing which you can't control, but I have to mention it, was the weather. Fuck me, it was cold. Fucking hell. The clock changed, so the when sunset came on Sunday, just changed everything. It rained every so often. I didn't get caught out too often in the rain. I think every time it rained, bar one time, I was like somewhere indoors anyway. I was like having lunch. I was talking to people inside anyway, things like that. So I wasn't too affected by the weather. But when it did, and I can see how other people go, "Oh my god, I don't get my cosplay wet." Totally understand it. Run inside, go inside, things like that, and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, you can't plan for the weather, but I wish, in a sense, October was just a little bit soon. I think late October is probably a bit too late now, and especially during the clock changing time. I think if it's just a little bit sooner, and I know they can't conflict it with New York Comic Con or any other events they run, but maybe I wonder if they're going to. I think I heard a rumor they might start moving the dates of the May October to, like, they'll still have two, but they'll slide it up and down the calendar to be a bit more, I don't know, spread out. I don't know, just a bit more. I don't know. I think I heard about the May one might be moving to avoid the bank holiday weekend.
May one's on the 24th.
Has that been announced? Has it been announced?
Yeah, they've
It was announced today.
Oh, is that over a bank holiday weekend? Hang on, let me go check.
Yeah. It will be. It'll be the May Day.
Yeah, it's the last weekend in May.
Yeah.
So they seem to like that weekend, which is fair.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah, but like I said, it's like you can't plan the weekend thinking, "Hope it's not going to rain," but it's just.
Yeah, but cosplayers do.
No, cosplayers do not care about weathers. I do not care what people say. The amount of cosplayers I've met that have gone, "Oh my god, I'm so cold. I'm wearing like the next to nothing on me," or the opposite, say, "Oh, I'm really hot and but I'm wearing like 10 layers of like material and it's hot and sunny. Why did I do this to myself?" Yes, I'm calling you two out. I am calling you two out.
I get hot in everything. I can't help it.
I was lovely and toasty and ranny, even though it was cold outside.
Oh man, I love when cosplayers just get caught out by the web, going, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how hot or cold I was going to be at this time of the year." I went, "Oh, you can change your life." No, I spent ages on this. You can wear it on another day. No. All right, fine.
My favourite one had to be the May that rained, like absolutely hammered it down, and I'm stood there in Jack Skeleton with an umbrella, just like,
Oh yes,
I'm fine.
I remember that one. What's about 18, 17?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, just something before pandemic.
Definitely before then.
Sorry,
Way before then.
2017, 2018, not that when she was 17 or 18 before anyone questions it. Oh my
I
god.
mean, that would make me much younger than I currently am.
Although I tell you something, talking about weather and all that. When I took you behind, there was construction near the grassy bank area, but I took people behind there it was really nice to see no one there for a change. But honestly, taking Luna up that grassy bank, one, it was wet, two, it's slippery, and Luna having previous history of fucking falling her ass.
That was a high risk
fall over
choice.
this time.
You didn't. No, Doc. Let me tell you a story. So when I first thought venturing out to go, hey, would anyone like to do a location shoot with me? Luna just dropped me a message. I didn't know who she was at the time, but you must have followed me for a little bit. Just, yeah, I'll do a shoot with you. And
He had taken my photos previously. At
oh
conventions,
shit! Yes,
I forgot.
fuck. I forgot about the poi poi. Yes, I forgot. Yeah. I forgot I took your poi poi. But yeah, I still do this. It was just a time I just started shooting people, and just hopefully people knew when I said look up food and cosplay, and then that'll be it. Yeah. Yeah. What else I could say? Yeah. So we did your. Oh, what's the character from? No More Heroes.
Bad girl.
Bad girl. That's it. We were just we went to your hometown. We went to the local park and we did some shoots there. Again, slippery, just wet floor and things like that. Was it towards the end? No, it was near the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were stood on up a high ground, and to be fair, you were I think heels at the time.
Yep.
You fucking stacked it.
Yep. I think Facebook reminds me occasionally of the foot injury every time. But it's not the only time. The opening day of LFCC, when it was at the Excel, literally in my Poison Ivy cosplay, got off the DLR halfway across the concourse. I stack it and I take out my knees. It's like, I just can't be trusted.
Oh no.
You really can't be trusted. You really can't.
I was like, I can't be trusted near a dust sheet, so yeah. You're in good company.
Woo!
Oh, jeez. Okay, Doc. Whilst we've been chatting, anything bad that's popped in your chair before we move over to the ugly?
No, I think we could pretty much covered everything that I was thinking about.
Cool. Shall we talk about the ugly? Has anyone got uglies?
Somebody pooped in the concourse.
I have heard about this. Now, this has happened at every convention this year, right?
Pretty much. There is a phantom pooper going around, which I really love the concept of. I just don't want anything to do with it, obviously, but I think it's hilarious. But I have the sense of humor of a 5-year-old, so
that is very true. That is very, very true.
yeah. There you go.
That's horrific.
Supposedly, somebody pooped.
Yeah. Look, I didn't hear about this, nor did I see it, nor smell it. But yeah, okay.
I mean, Eddie, if you want to know the history of the Phantom Pooper, there are TikTok videos going into the history of this year's Phantom Pooper at conventions.
No,
There is a phantom pooper law.
No, I don't want to hear about it. No, I'm fine. I am really fine by it.
I only heard about it because I saw somebody post about it on their story. They didn't post a picture of a turd on their story, but
just because it's there doesn't mean it's true.
No, I know.
I've been to a festival and someone was too lazy to go to the bathroom mid-show and they literally squatted in amongst a couple thousand people and took a dump. So I believe it.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
I'll tell you something. There was no queues for the water bottle fountain this time around when everyone was moaning about it in May. You know.
That's because it was cold and no one wants water.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, I just remember things that people were moaning about. I was going, well, yeah, because it was a really hot day that day. They can't just erect new fountains just for one weekend. That yes, it would have been helpful. There was more, but they can't just install new water fountains just for.
Yeah, they kind of had to work with what was there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
at least there was water.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking at my social media again. Like I said, the only ugly that I will speak on other people's behalf that's been written is basically just apparently security were still a bit rough with people with accessibility. I don't know if it's both either visible or invisible. Like I said, there's not much details that I can read off. What was the one here? Someone mentioned about the autograph section for Critical Role, which they had their own section for it. I can see why you would want that. Again, the thing is, if you just build a special section just for that, they're only there for one day. So therefore, you have 2 days of either having empty space or you're just shifting people back and forth for that. I like the idea of it, actually. I don't know how feasible and realistic it is to do that.
So I think what would actually have solved that is, I don't know if anybody else tried to compete for an MCM autograph for any of the Crit Role crew. I did. They sold out instantly on both days that they put tickets live. Shit show. They need to reorganize how they do tickets for signatures of famous people. The problem was that they were accepting cash for anybody turning up to those queues during the day, and that's what made the area worse than what it would have been if it was only the people who reserved online.
Yeah.
Because across every single, like Marisha Ray, cash only if you're buying a ticket. Well, we were told that you weren't going to be selling any more tickets on the day, so question mark? People were there queuing hours before the autographs, and the people who legitimately had booked tickets then had to join those queues. I mean, I know of people who were turned away and told to come back the next day. How's that work if they've only got a Saturday pass?
Yeah.
I think there's just some organisation issues with the popular actors, and that's what they need to sort out.
Yeah, because it's Simon and Mel was there. The cast is it Simon and Mel? Hang on, I've got a photo. Hang on, because he was part of the site. No, Stephen and sorry, Stephen and Mel. Shit, so sorry, Stephen. If you're listening, I'm so sorry. I got your name wrong. They're Baldur's Gate 3. There.
Yeah.
The cast of Ghost, Critical Role's mentioned. It sounded like, although it's been 24 hours since Comic Con has finished, those went well. But again, it was just, I think I was hearing one set of people saying that the queuing for the panels or for the signature was a little chaotic. That was it. But they're not, I don't think they said it as in a complaint, but more an observation like, oh, a little chaotic, but something that can be improved upon.
Yeah, I know Neil's queue ended up being so long that they ended up staying until 8 p.m. on one of the days, way past the convention closing, because they just couldn't get through everybody. And apparently he was a trooper, which just shows there's some time management and organizational issues. And I do think if you sell out online, you should not be selling autograph or photo slots on the day.
I think I think you're right. It's either, if it's going to be that popular, cash on the day, and here's a line. But like you said, if you have a line, where do you stop that line? If you did it on the day, if you just did take cash on day and had a line, where do you stop that line? Because at some point you're going to say sorry. You're going to disappoint a load of people. If you have a pre-booked ticket, and yet the celebrity hands it, I'm willing to save an extra half an hour. Do you deny them for taking cash?
Yes.
You were saying, okay, fair enough. Right.
Yeah, my argument here is if they sell out of online tickets, you should not be entitled to then buy tickets on the day in cash at the detriment of the people that have pre-booked.
Oh, no, okay. Once pre-book is done or finished, do you then open up for cash?
No, I don't think you should.
I would say no, give the actors a break.
Yeah, because you then end up with situations like what happened with Joseph Quinn at LFCC, where he was literally like a broken man by the end of it because they worked him so hard, and he said he'd never do any conventions ever again, basically.
Yeah.
After it, because they worked him too hard. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, it's his job, I get that, but I'm not worked You know, I don't turn up at work at 8:30 and I'm not allowed to stop. I'm not allowed to take a break just because I might let somebody down for the next 12 hours. That's not how work works.
No, absolutely. I think I think the scenario I was saying was if the celebrity was willing to give up another half an hour, still no.
It's a really tricky one. I personally would still say no. I think if you had the capacity and the time available, then those tickets should have been online.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No, that's fair enough. It's like I said, we're just talking, we're just chatting. I don't think I would mind it if I known that all the ones that were pre-booked are gone through, they got ahead, they got theirs first. If there's still time and everyone's happy, then go for it. I think the Joseph Quinn one is a good example. I've forgotten about that. It did seem like he was. It was. I hate to use the word force against his will to do what he did. But that's what it sounded like in the end.
Yeah, history repeats itself. We had the same issue with Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. He was. I mean, to be fair, I think he was happy to do it, but at the same time, you do have to think, crikey, he is.
He was in his 90s.
He was in his 90s at the time, and all he did was sit there. And I think I did see.
I mean, half the photos he looked asleep.
Yeah.
My photo with him, he looked asleep.
Yeah, and I think were you allowed to touch him, or go near him?
I was stood next to him.
Yeah, but were you told
I don't think you were
explicitly?
allowed...
I was going to say, were you explicitly told not to touch him?
I wasn't, but I do think there were some people like, don't hug him.
Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine just before COVID or after COVID, if it was still about?
I mean, last year they still had that perspex screen in between the actor and the person having the photo.
Yeah. Which I think some vendors at the time did etch that out. I think for people, so that didn't look too bad. Which I think is a thing to do. I think it's an okay thing to do. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, well, good to hear. There's no real uglies about the event. From our perspective, but again, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, go find my socials. I'll put the links up in the podcast description. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, on Threads, if you want to say, oh look, I want to share my opinion about the event. Like I said, a lot of people I spoke to really enjoyed it, had a good time. Okay, it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst. I think something that I was going to mention actually. Do you know what? I'm going to bring this into the podcast section. We're going to talk about a really weird vibe this weekend. And I'll explain that in the podcast extra about it. And then so on that note, let's do links. Ask a Luna or Luna. Ask a Luna. Where can they find you on the social media? Should they want to talk to you about gaming or cosplay or I don't know, Download Festival?
It will be best to find my Twitter, which is at Askaluna Cosplay.
Fantastic. Doc, where can they find you?
Everywhere. And it's...
What was that? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Sorry.
Oh my God.
So what was that? Where can they find you, Doc?
Everywhere. Decent podcasts are written. Oh my God, who gave him this amount of power? It's not good. It's not good.
Someone take it back.
Yeah. It's like you're having a memorial for me. Can we not? Oh,
seriously, no, sorry. Go, Doc. Where can they find you on social media?
Everywhere, and it's Tasagare Cos. Eddie Cos, spell it, but I can. TASOGARE, and then Cos.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. If people need to find me on the social medias, if you go to foodandcosplay.org/links, that's where you find my social media links there, including Threads, Twitter, Facebook, others, Patreon as well. We'll talk about Patreon in a minute. If you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you'll find Jesus Christ. I was like, which one do I talk about next? Which one? If we talk about podcast, if you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, that's where you find previous recorded podcasts with these two guests with different subjects. Yada yada yada. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, just a big shout out before I forget. Bigfoot, thank you very much for coming up to me and saying hello. It was really. I find it really, and I'll talk this about in the podcast section. I find it I get quite anxious when people come to me, oh, I listen to your podcast. Oh, okay, then do you like it? Oh my God. Things like that. So yeah, just want to mention that. So if anyone comes up to me or drops me a message saying they really like the cosplay, I will try to remember to mention it on the podcast. But just for starters, Bigfoot, thank you. Bigfoot Photography. So if you look for him on Instagram, you'll find his work there. He was saying how much, he spent like 6 months going through my whole back catalogue of podcasts. I almost went, you poor soul. What did, who hurt you? Where did they touch you? Things like that. So yeah. Where was I? If you go to filmcosplay.org generally, you'll find daily cosplay photos that I've like taken at Comic-Con, location shoots, things like that. There are articles from time to time here and there. If you go to patreon.com/food and cosplay, that's where you'll find the podcast section where we'll talk about the weird vibe that I think I experienced, at least at Comic-Con. I don't know if my other guests were experiencing. So yeah, so we'll do that. So on that note, we are going to close off the podcast. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you join me on the next podcast. And also apologies to Tom, who can be, we'll get you on the podcast another time. We'll do that another time. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to say goodbye and they're going to say goodbye. So bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, Paul.
Young podcast.